It's me. Count the HOODRiCH Pimp. Try to see if we do move the controls on it. Alright. Yeah, the controls are glitchy. Right. Let me see. So I can do this one. So Mia's been talking on here, putting videos on here, looking into all this that led to this God, this E with this pitchfork, gangster disciples, is how it's wrapped in the shit. And the shit is, like me said, like San Andreas is what me lives in, right? And so in this realm, there's these things, video games, right? Like this. It's how it speaks, right? Let me see. Trying to. And so in these video games, San Andreas, the Saints Rows, there's like the Grand Theft Autos, the Grand Theft Autos, like Vice City, Liberty City. It's supposed to be like New York and Miami, right? And it's supposed to be like Saints Row, seem like New Orleans, St. Louis type. And then got San Andreas, supposed to be like L.A., Vegas, right? San Francisco, right? I should hit up some stores and see what. It's how it speaks in this round, right? The spelling and the speak of it doesn't compute to the same sounds, right? Right. But in this realm, it always talks about God, church, religion, the Bible, B-I-B-L-E is how it is spelled, right? Written, symbolized, right? And so in this Saints Row, it's got the church. The church is supposed to be like the let me see, trying to see. The church is supposed to be like some type of headquarters or something for the whatever the game is talking about, right? Some type of gang affiliation, right? And all that gets into colors, right? Right. And so that's what he's gonna show now about what he's been looking into about this Adam and Eve. In this realm, it speaks Adam and Eve. And like me said in some other videos, this Adam was this A, and this Eve seems like it was known as Evie to E. E killed this A, right, and became the first man to Evie. That is spelled E-V-E, but E was saying that it would go by Evie, right? Yeah. So E-V-E was how the name would be spoken, right? Sounded, right? But in this game, we're trying to control this, and so got the one hand on it, so it isn't real smooth looking, right? But me just trying to show this is the church, right? In the game, right? Right. And see down in here is headquarters, right? It's supposed to be like the secret base or something of the game. The gang if the player joins this gang, right? Yeah. Right. But see, when we go down in this church, right? And that's what it talks it as a church, speaks it as a church, right? See, it's got like this room, and there's some posters, right? This place called Posters, Images. Will it like to be X's or V's? Like me was speaking about like the VL logo, the Louis Vuitton logo, the Louis Vuitton logo, right? The V, the XYV love, right? Logo, right? And see, looking to hear me looking into this, right? And so can think whatever on this bad YouTube about it, but see this picture and see these different images. Right. Right. This to me is like the look of Evie at one time, right? And so there were some other ones, right? As well, it seems, right? That this E had took over. And so me looking into this E took over, what is it, EFG, took over EFG, then got to H. And so hoes was something to do with this H. But there's a lot of different things to do with this H. So this E really backed up and started trying to take over D and all this D, C, B, and then got to A, right? And so this is what me's looking into with the whole, how this thing says, the story, the timeline of this E. In this alphabet that me sees and been looking into, this E was in a different alphabet. And then later came into this English, it speaks it alphabet. As this E, right? Right. Using the eternity and all this, right? As its E, right? To go around and do all this. To be eternal and to move over and conquer F, G, get to H, and then to turn the other way and to conquer D, C, and all this, right? And see in the this is like the underground of this church, right here. See this? What is this? Right. Wow. See this? What does this represent? In this realm, it shows a lot of statues, supposed to be like ancient art, right? And a lot of it is something like this, right? It's all busted up, pieces are missing, right? Parts are missing, right? Right. And so in my mind, this is EVE. This is like the original EVE. Right. Right. And so we is going to speak more on this. This E has got a long story. Like me was speaking in my last video. This E has got a long story. And this has got something to do with it. But this EV, how much to talk about this now, right? But just get this idea of what happened to EVE. This thing speaking as Eve, Adam and Eve from the Bible, right? Why this EV? We don't even like this word, but this is what it was because it is E and atom, right? Why is this EV never really mentioned, right? what happened to Eve other than being banned from the Garden of Eden. Right. Right. And so the information me has gathered is this Eve would use this eternal to conquer other things. After, like, these are other powerful ones, right? And would go to conquer them. And this Eve would sometimes eat them, right? But this E is from some other alphabet that originally this E, why this is like a blind eel and all this led me to this blind eel and to God and all this, right? Was in another alphabet and hid in a certain realm. Hid in some a certain realm. And waited for things that are evolving as babies to show up in that realm. And then would go kidnap these babies and rape and kill them. Right. Kill these babies. And would do it blindfolded. Right. This E would do this blindfolded. Right. 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 And so all the things later would show up to go live don't got any memory of what E did, and E's eyes didn't record this. Right. Right. And so this is the one that this realm speaks of as God. Right. Right. And so whenever this E was going around later and things just thinking that they're living and all this, this E was taking over after these things started to make things, right? And like A was making the first man and woman, how it speaks of these type of looks, right? This particular type of looks, right? This E took it over, killed this A, right? Right. And then it seems raped this Eve, right, a couple times. And then decided to eat this Eve, this Eve from the Bible, right? And since it was bad to eat Eve, right, Evie, right? Yeah, that's just Jupiter twang. Then it showed up kind of Satan twang in that last video, right? Right. Because Satan and Jupiter got this twang because me is using this you to speak. Me is gathering all this information on this, right? The story of creation and all this, the story of the first man and woman, right? But see, there's even, that's what I said, there's so much more to even that. It's like this A wasn't that good either. This A that would have been Adam wasn't even that good, right? This A, I think, like, took this from something else, right? Took this from something else, right? And then led over to this A, then this E moved over to the A. Because really this E sets it up and puppets it this way. To where these things will do it to where E can just come collect later, right? And so doesn't care that much about some of the stuff. And look what happened to Evie, right? Right. Right. And so how did all this happen? It's all because of this mysterious God. How did this God gain this power and can put things on living things like this realm, this shit and all this, right? And it's all because it hid in the realm and raped and killed all the babies that passed through and cycled through certain areas, like back like at the beginning of, sure, say time or what, of this alphabet, right? And this was the alphabet before this English alphabet. And so this English alphabet was devised by this E in order to fool all the ones that had been killed by E in this other alphabet. Right. Right. Whoa. Right. And so me, Z, my name is Z, is said to be of one that canceled out this E. Right. So this E kidnapped me as a baby, just like all these other ones, this Evie and A and whoever else this was, right? Right. Right. And because of, to be honest, my venom, me as a viper, and so my venom as a baby killed this E. Right. And this is what led to this English alphabet and all this. This is the information me has gathered. Right. Right. And so E considers that canceling. Sometimes things cancel each other out. Right. And this is how E claims to have gotten so much power to be really recognized as what is spoke as God. Right. Right. And so how much goes in this story, this Evie, is what me is looking into. Right. And so this is what it is. This Evie is mentioned in the Bible, and it starts to speak about Lilith. Lilith in the Bible, right? The Bible, right? And so this is what this is all about. It's like there's Adam and Eve, and it doesn't say any more about Adam and Eve, right? And then it starts to talk about Cain and Abel, and then it talks about Lilith, and it mentions this stuff briefly, right? Lilith is Evie, right? Evie, right? After this happened, right? So since Evie wasn't Evie was good, right? And so Eve was bad to have done this. And bad is what me has gathered information is B-A-D, and that's a shortened way of speaking bitches are dangerous, right? Or brothers are dangerous, right? Right. Bitches in the sense that like something that bit you. It'll just bite you, bit you, it bit you. Just gonna be a bitch, right? Right. Bitches are dangerous. And so just like other ones, Evie doesn't really remember a lot of stuff. Plus this, well, need to say because the memory isn't there, right? And whenever this E eats them, right, can puppet them like when they go to live again somewhere else, like pieces of the mind of Evie and whatever else this E is eaten can be puppeted once to show up to go, to go start again, right? Yeah, right. And so this gets into all this mind control, psychic, and all this type of stuff, right? And how things are forced to become angry and violent and all type of thoughts like this. This is just E puppeting. And this is where it gets into demonic possession and all this type of thoughts and speech and speak, right? Right. So this don't look like the smoothest video sometimes, kind of like my last video. Me ain't all pimped up in the video because me really is being possessed and at the same time, let me say, getting possessed and possessing, right? And so me really is like in the mind frame of a Jeremiah Johnson, David Icke, or something at the time when me is recording some of these videos or trying to record some of these videos, right? Right. And so there's a lot that goes into all these stories and all this, and it all goes back to Black as far as me, Z's involvement. Right. 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 But this is how this is, me is trying to speak in a way that is clear. This is how this E does this. As a carnivore just decided to do whatever. But before being like a carnivore decided to eat bugs. Ate a bug, right? And so this is when this E decided to start doing all this after eating this bug. So rapes of women because of E, all the lineages will die out eventually. All of the bug that the E ate was a virus, right? Right. And so this realm speaks of AIDS and all these incurable type of sexual transmitted diseases. It's just this bug that this E ate before starting this whole path of just raping, killing, and eating things, right? Right. And so me looking into all this still as a pimp, player, Mission Possible, right? But this is why it seems like hoes and men, everything will become violent and ain't all there and stuff. Look how much of is missing from some of these, right? Right. And so that's what me's doing now. Me is living this Evie's look, this hood rich look, trying to resurrect the soul, right? Right. And the mind, body, and soul and all this of this hood rich Christine Ricci look me thinks of it as, but it all goes back to the original, this EVE, right? Evie is how E said it was, right? Was how to talk, it speaks the name, right? Yeah, just trying to record this on there, see if it even goes on, just to speak. So if it's just looking at this, it should be all right. But this is just why is this in the game and all this type of thoughts. And so even in this game, like me saying, trying to resurrect the spirits and all this of this Evie, that was a good, how this thing says, woman, a willing opposite, maintaining above normal, right? Right. And so even in this game, if one just played the game, this Evie does resurrect. This statue becomes resurrected, and it looks good, all good again. Right. 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 But this is how this mind controls and puppets and mind manipulates things like this. Where do all these thoughts come from, and why do things feel compelled to move in certain directions or think certain thoughts? This is all goes way back into this pedophile baby killer that later came to this alphabet. It seems after because of me and as a me, right? Z killed him as a baby, but also got killed, right? And so whenever this E later in this alphabet felt like something was weird about the me as a baby, Z in this other alphabet, and some other type of look, right? Right, some living look, right? Canceled each other out. And so me suffered big time in this life because of these factors or however it speaks in this thing, right? But still getting all this information on this God and what is the whole story with all of it, right? And so we'll continue to do so.